And here we are on the Euro New Zealand 15-minute time frame, and this is a trade I've just got in, and it is a flag pattern if you can just see it. And secondary targets are some, let's have a look, 300 pips away from where price is trading at the moment, and this is a trade that I'll have to manage. So this flag pattern is going to be a little bit different from the other ones due to the potential it's got to go higher. What I'm just going to do is clear off these orders and run through why I think we can get up to that level. To do that, we do need to do our higher time frame analysis, and what I'm just going to do is go to the dailies, delete off that information. Now if we look at what price has done, we had a rally, we broke out, we saw a pullback, we continued higher, and if I put a structure level in here, you'll actually be able to see where we came to, retraced and went higher. Now importantly, if I zoom out on the daily time frame, we could certainly see price come up to test this level here that's been tested twice and is at the psychological number 18,000. So let's drop down to the 240 first of all and have a closer look at this. And what I want to point out is when we violated this level of structure here, what we did was we had a momentum move up here, and we put in sideways movement, a high and tight flag. Now unfortunately I missed this. Second touch was here, and I had an entry on the hourly time frame, and I would have been able to play for the 127. As you can see, that was hit. Unfortunately I missed out on that of 123 pips, but that I would have held second positions just as I'm going to on this next trade. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because when we see this type of movement where we see the market here go up, consolidate, rally, come down, consolidate, go up, consolidate and rally again, the market is just rallying and then consolidating and then rallying again, and that's pretty much what we're doing. And as we drop down the time frames, we can see that the same thing could be happening here. Here on the 60-minute we can see a rally and we see a pullback, and then we see another rally. And as I say, here on the daily time frame we actually have room to go. I mean, everything you look at here is indicating that that's what we've been doing: a rally, sideways movement, a rally, sideways movement, or a pullback, and then the extension. So when I see this kind of movement, I want to look at those extended targets, and as I say, on the daily time frame it is a potential, and so that's something that I'll be looking at. Right here though, on the 15-minute is the actual trade. Now I've entered this in early just to make sure that I get my fill due to the potential on this trade, because this trade could turn after 2 touches, although typically I do look for 3 touches, but nevertheless I'm in this trade, and we can see here we've got nice fluid movement for the flag pattern, and I've actually entered here, and the reason for that is because we came up and double tested this trend line. And typically what happens is we don't usually see a full retracement. Look for instance what happened here. We came up and tested the trend line, rejection, and down to the next level. So when I start seeing this type of movement either at the top or even better at the bottom of the channel here, like a double bottom, that's usually my reason for buying. But because we are very bullish here, and we have been for a period of time, then I've wanted to enter in, and targets are going to be, well, target ones are going to be the 127 extension, because we are so bullish, and I believe that we're not going to see a very big pullback here. And secondary targets, as I say, are going to be just below that 18,000 level. So if I bring these stats back on, these entries, let me move the chart up. Okay, here we go. So The 127 comes in just above the psychological number 17700, so I want to be a couple of pips underneath that 176.98. Now I am not at 10 pips below it this time. The reason for that is I only go 2 pips when when I'm looking at taking targets in the middle of structure, and this is what this is, so that's why I'm only 2 pips below the even handled number. So this means that my risk is looking like this. So giving me a very nice risk to reward for target ones. I'm going to make that green. I'm not going to bother drawing out target twos because they are so far away. It's 300 pips for target twos, and as I say, it's a trade that I'll have to manage. So on every 4-hour outside return, I'll move my stop and ATR below that outside return. So pretty much a 2-to-1 risk to reward here. I've entered in a little bit early, as I say, just to make sure that I get that reward. And my stop is placed in the most appropriate place, and so as you can see here, we're moving quite harmonically within the channel. That means that my third touch is going to be here. So there's 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and 3 is going to be there, and then I'm 12 pips underneath that particular level. So we'll come back and see whether or not we get first, and would be nice to get second targets as well. We're back on the Euro New Zealand, and I was stopped out of that trade, unfortunately. What we did here, it looks as though we had a false breakout. We broke the channel, came down to retest the structure body, and simply just rallied on up here. So I stopped out that trade for 26 pips. Just go to the 60-minute time frame, you'll actually be able to see what I mean by a false break. We had a big momentum move lower, instantly sucked right back up, and classes as a false breakout. If we go back to the 15-minute, I have entered another pattern. As mentioned in the first part of the video here, I'm looking at this being very bullish and producing plenty of these patterns, and what we've just had here is we had this bullish move, and then we've had sideways movement, and this is a high and tight flag. You can see multiple touches here, and on the breakout I bought this particular market, and so we're looking at a reward. This is just a one-to-one risk to reward here. Good grief, use the right tool. Why is that not working? That many shortcuts, hotkeys. There we go, 24 pips. Be nice if that hit. Using the same target there at 76.98. If that hit, that'll be nice. It'll earn back my loss on that particular trade. And this will just be a 1 in, 1 out. And the reason why it's a 1 in, 1 out and not holding for that big secondary target is the simple fact that if I was holding for that secondary target, my stop being in this position here had a higher chance of not being hit than it being in this position here. So that's the reason I'm only going for first targets on this particular trade. And we're back for the final part of the video, and you can see that with it in the night time we rallied up to hit our targets. So we earned 24 pips there. I think we lost 26 on this first pattern, which was a real shame. But you can see that I looked at that as a false breakout, and we rallied up and hit targets there. So not a bad finish in the end. Shame we didn't make any pips from it.